He's Jalen Rose from the Mothership, who set to join us now, NBA analyst, and also the new show Get Up with Mike Greenberg, Michelle Beadle, starting next week, the cast member. And J-Ro joins us now. Let me start with that. Do you think that Ben Simmons should be eligible for Rookie of the Year, Jalen?
Hey, Dan. Good day. Thanks for having me on. I think there should be a distinction between first-year players, performers, and rookies.
Okay.
You brought up the Ichiro example. The same that happened with Arvydas Sabonis. He played internationally, I think, for 8 or 9 years and came to the NBA. He was almost 30 years old and won Rookie of the Year. That almost makes a mockery of the award.
The strategy with Markelle Fultz coming back now and what he can give to the 76ers. What's your take on
the strategy? I'm sorry. The strategy is that he's the number 1 overall pick, and you mentioned so many great performers that have been rookies this year. And so if you could get him back into the lineup and get some productivity from him for a team that is going to not only make the playoffs, but in an Eastern Conference that really is in a scramble. Other than LeBron James, because he's been the constant in that conference, the Washington Wizards haven't gotten John Wall back. The Boston Celtics seem to be decimated by injuries, including Kyrie Irving. The Toronto Raptors have flamed out in the playoffs the last few seasons, other than one time of making it to the conference finals. So if you're the Philadelphia 76ers, things can break right for you. You hope to probably win a round or two.
Explain to me the shooting form with Markelle Fultz. There has to be a story behind this, Jalen.
Dan, I'm hearing that initially when he got drafted, and by the way, it was because he had a really good stroke.
Yeah.
He shot a high percentage from three. He was really good from the free throw line. And then you go number 1. And then for some strange reason, allegedly, a trainer of his working with him decided, due to his shoulder injury and trying to protect it, that they could do it by changing his shooting form. Not anything to do with the actual team in itself. And so once that took place, he not only was dealing with the shoulder injury, but he was dealing with a funky jump shot that he was unable to now regain confidence in his shoulder and a shooting stroke that didn't give him the opportunity to heal properly and, more importantly, make shots, which is why you saw some of those videos that went viral where a jump shot just looked like a double clutch and had no chance to go in at that point.
It looked pretty good last night. I like the form. I just didn't like him lowering his release point because he had, he's got a good wingspan there, and he was taking away one of his weapons by lowering it.
I agree, and one of the things I like about him is that he's really wiry, has long arms and long limbs. And one of the things I like to do with young players is when you're on your knees, raise your hand to force them to shoot the basketball high. And if you can block it from your knees, then they know they have to lift it up. So I agree with you. He definitely is going to have to lift it up above his shoulders to get it off accurately.
He's Jalen Rose, of course, covering the NBA for the Mothership, and starts his new show with Mike Greenberg and Michelle Beadle. It's called Get Up. And when is that, April 2nd that you guys debut?
Monday, April 2nd, the same day as the NCAA National Championship from South Seaport, New York City.
What is this show going to be all about?
I'm excited to participate on a show with Greeny and Beadle, and we're not here to, I guess, change the landscape of how you cover sports. The scores from the night before don't change regardless of who's delivering them. But I just hope that we're able to provide a quality show with some trustworthy personalities, some segments, and some interviews that people are going to be excited about, and a way to cover sports and entertainment and politics and current events in a unique way that we're having a lot of fun and people gravitate to.
Is there a beef going on with your grandmother and Sister Jean?
That's hilarious. Vicky said it. Beef is when ICU, guaranteed to be in ICU. And considering the fact that Sister Jean is 98 and Mary Bell Hicks is 100, I would think that term does not exist. But I would say this. It just became a coincidence that both teams were able to make it to the Final Four and play against one another. Sister Jean and Loyola, Chicago have been a terrific story, making it this far as a number 11 seed. And for those that did not know before the video I posted, my mother, whose name is Jean, coincidentally, and my grandmother, who just turned 100 last August, are huge basketball fans, in particular for the University of Michigan. So she saw the videos because they continue to go viral and showed her on TV. So once Michigan won, she asked me because she threw a rebuttal. And I was like, you know, you really protect – like, I'm really protective of my family. And, like, I've never really done that with my grandmother or my mom, like try to put them online or try to put them on television or something like that. And so I talked to a few of my family members. I have older brothers and whatnot. And so they felt okay with it. And so once she recorded it, again, I asked 50 more people, do you think I should really do this? And then they were like, yes, it'll be fun. So she got a kick out of it. I'm glad people got a chance to enjoy it. And it's just all in fun. And this is what makes the NCAA tournament great.
Do you still have your Michigan uniform?
I actually have one of my Michigan uniforms. Coach Brian Dutcher, now the head coach at San Diego State, I ran into him recently, and he actually pulled it out of a bag and said, I have a surprise for you. He gave me a white number 5 Michigan jersey, and I have it actually hanging in the closet right now.
If it wasn't Michigan, where else were you going?
I took a few visits. So one was normally I was the kind of kid, I wanted to pick a school where I saw people from Detroit have success. So I took a visit to UNLV at the time. Anderson Hunt was the Final Four MVP, teaming with Larry Johnson, Stacey Altman, and Greg Anthony. I took a visit to Syracuse because Derek Coleman was there having success. Yeah. And my godfather is Dave Bing, who also played in the NBA with my biological father, Jimmy Walker. And I took a visit to Michigan State because Steve Smith was there having success. So those were my visits before I ultimately chose the University of Michigan.
I saw your dad play. I saw him play.
He was good at basketball. He was really good. He was better than me.
Your dad was a talented guy. But I like that. He was good at basketball.
Thank you for acknowledging that. I'll never forget, Dan. I was in 6th grade. Sam Washington was the athletic director at St. Cecilia, the famed St. Cecilia, where you was the proving ground to play basketball. And I was goofing off in the gym, and he took me down in the basement. And a lot of people won't get this analogy, but he had a projector, and he had dust on there, had the big reels on the end. He's like, I want to show you something. He's blowing off he blew the dust in my face. He's like, he put on the footage of my father playing, and he showed him doing a spin dribble. He's like, you know, he's one of the first big guards that put people on his hip and turn, and he can make shots, and he was scoring. He led the NCAA in scoring. He did all of these great things, and you up here picking your nose, messing around in the gym. As a matter of fact, I'm never going to call you Jalen. And every day he called me Rose. He was like, until you show me you can do something, I'm never going to call you by your first name. So that really became my motivation that basketball can become my life.
That's great. Hey, good luck on Monday, and thanks for joining us. Always great to talk to you, Jalen. It's Jalen Rose, ESPN NBA analyst and Get Up cast member. That'll be on Monday with Beadle and Greeny.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.